G'day, folks. Welcome to an EcoFarmers Discovery, the audiobook companion podcast. Join Ewan Campbell as he takes a deep dive into his book, uncovering all the secrets of soil health, biology, and true farm independence. You can listen along to his book on Spotify or download from Audible, and then catch us here as we deep dive into the events of each chapter. Today, we're up to Chapter 3. Let's go.
Okay.
Oh, what a hot day.
It's steaming out there, Steve.
Welcome back to the studio. Okay, Chapter 3. I want to start with your brother.
Mm-hmm.
You guys worked pretty close together, but how did this two-herd approach come about?
No, look, it just was a simplicity. There was two sides of the road. It was easy to keep one herd on one side, the other on the other side, and it just was a way to keep the peace and happy enough because, I like getting up real early, and hence I'd be in and gone from the shed at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I was done and dusted. It was a pain in the ass when they wanted to turn around for me to clean up at the end of the day, but it was worth it. And it brought some sanity to the whole process.
True enough. He had a nickname, Gunner. How did that come about?
Well, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm going, and you're still gonna.
Did he have a nickname for you?
I'm buggered if I know.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. What's he up to now? No, I think my dad probably sums it up. He said, Ewan's a lot more like his mother and being more impetuous and just let's go and get on with it and see what happens.
Right.
And you find out quicker.
Yeah, true.
You don't ponder on shit and go, oh, I should never have done that or I should have done it. You can go, that question about the humour in farming? Yeah, well, that's when you laugh at yourself.
Did you guys have quite different approaches to farming?
Yes.
Because you said he was successful.
Yeah, he's pretty good at what he does. But, I'm far more, that's not right. Let's try this and let's try that. And he'll sit back and read something and pontificate on it for 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And then, maybe, and I will have done it, found out whether it worked or not, and just rolled on with it and
right.
just add it to the pile of stuff. But in that regard, I think I'm quite unique to most of the farming community.
Do you have different senses of humour?
To the rest of the community or my brother?
To your brother.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I guess what you did had to keep the peace, eh?
Yeah.
Two-herd approach.
It was great. I've always been really self-reliant. And in that, when we started this process, it was a 24-a-side cow shed. And so you had to go. You had to blitz it. And so I was milking 170 cows, and we had another farm worker who would work with my brother. And so they were quite happy to plod along, and they were milking about 240 or something like 230. So I was actually doing more per man hour, but I was happier because I was in charge of my time and I was gone.
Yeah, I'd imagine there's a lot of farming families out there who find a similar solution.
Yeah, well, some do.
Not everyone can work with their brother or sister.
No. I know. And sometimes you wonder why, but it's pretty easy to work out.
Yeah.
What is it? It's there's a great saying that Paulie uses is fish and family are the same. Both of them go off after 3 days.
That's good. Was there a plague of facial eczema at that time?
Yes, there was, but we were just incredibly more affected by it than the rest of the district. And that was just down to our soil types and how we'd gone about things in bits and pieces, and it's just the state of the raw soil. But yeah, a lot of people getting affected when we had facial eczema then.
Yeah. I've got to know, what's the hardest part about watching cows suffer through that?
Just not being able to put the cups on the cows and then just watching them dry up and then they just trying to hide and you can't deal with them. They just get so down on it. It's horrific. I mean, I would put it in the most horrific thing I've dealt with in farming.
Sad.
Yeah, well, it's just...
Must break your heart.
Well, you're confronted with it, you've got to deal with it, and no one else was bringing any solutions to it. And, I think the comment in that if we fed them enough zinc as far as the philosophy was going, well, we would have had galvanised cows. It was like,
That's right.
Yeah, it's like...
Funny line.
Yeah, but it was like, shit, it was like that. And so...
Yeah.
The Lyme issue was just bang.
Yeah. So this all came down the eczema to kill him. I mean, Yatsen.
Well,
Did it?
Like, it was two things. The grass made it worse. The other parts of the farm weren't good either. But the Yats and ryegrass that we planted at the time just facilitated this facial eczema thing along with the soil types. Man, it was just horrendous. And I heard that from other farmers that used it as well. And it was withdrawn from the market relatively quickly.
There must have been a lot of pissed off farmers at that time because you trust, right, that you've been given a product that's good.
Well, nobody ever said sorry.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that I've seen over time when they make a giant cock up to the greatest degree, it just disappears and nobody ever says, oh, look, I'm sorry. We didn't realise that it facilitated facial eczema issues.
Funny thing I learnt from watching Fair Go years ago was that the companies that didn't respond to Fair Go's interviews returned back to normal activity. Those that did respond, they were just hauled through the media. You got to wonder if they've learnt that lesson too. Just say nothing, make your mistake, and just act like it didn't happen. You know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it was ag research that had actually gone down the track of actually creating this thing, and so like, it's nothing for a government department to shut its mouth and just wander off into the wilderness, is it?
Yeah, maybe they're too big to fail. Maybe they're too important in their minds.
They're never too big to fail.
Okay. Well, look, listening to cows is my next question, right? Because when you see them not wanting to get into the paddock,
That's such a critical thing in understanding your farm. It's like, you know, laboratories goes to a huge amount of effort to have lab rats and lab mice, which they then go ahead and they treat them with this and treat them with that and whatever. We have cows, sheep, deer, and they are our lab rats.
Yeah.
And we should take a shit ton more notice of what they're doing and how they're doing it and why they're doing it. And, you know, like for an instance, we see that everybody wants us to plant trees, and I've got nothing against planting trees. But for cows, they need shelter in the summertime.
Yeah, great reason to have trees.
Yeah, but like our cows are all Angus cows, they're all black, and they've got trees, and they all sit in the middle of the paddock. They're not concerned about the temperature because they've actually, their regulation of temperature, their thermodynamics is working because their whole system works. So yet the neighbours' cows will be all hiding under a pine tree. And I mean jammed in that tight that they're more or less like at the cow shed, all jammed up that, trying to get out of that sun. And I've seen it.
There's just absolute deficiency in some way for those cows.
They're unable to regulate their body temperature, and they can't handle the sunlight. And like, if ever there was a cow that was going to do that, it would be the black ones, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they don't give a shit. They're sitting around the middle of the paddock on a 28-degree day and going,
yeah,
they're happy.
Can you get into what's missing for that specific situation, or is it going to depend farm by farm and what's in their soils?
Generally, that's an iodine issue, but that's only linked to the rest of them. But the iodine is part of the system, hormonal system, and it's required in making thyroxine, which is the base hormone in the body. And if there's no iodine, and selenium has a part to play in that too, if they are not there, they can't actually set up their thermodynamics. And you'll see it with women as well. It's like how many women you see with cold feet. Okay, I've seen it so many times. I'm going, just take some iodine, you know, put it on your skin and then watch it disappear. And like if it keeps disappearing, just keep putting until, you know, it starts to, it's staying there now. Okay. And then, have you got cold feet anymore? Oh, I didn't. Oh, it's gone. Yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating. Okay. Before I get off this topic, it's interesting to me to see animals have an instinct for things, right? And have you seen other animals have a sense of what's safe and what's not safe that has boggled your mind?
Look, animals tell you everything because they're not so programmed.
Yeah.
And they all react to it. I mean, I've seen some amazing things. I remember seeing these goats in Reefton, and we called them Farrah Fawcett goats. And they came out, I know, you remember Farrah Fawcett with the beautiful goat. Yeah, well, these goats, they come out of the gorse.
Yeah.
And they were grazing the top of these mine tailings of the coal mine. And the coal mine had silicon beach sand. It had everything in it. It was fantastic stuff. And they were grazing this down to nothing. and they'd disappear into the gorse. But they wouldn't eat the gorse or anything else around they'd just come back out again.
Right.
And all they did was, when they walked out to the gorse, was actually get themselves nice combed up, so when they came out, they're all lovely again. But they were the most amazing goats I've ever seen. They were just glistening, absolutely. And so they knew where to go and eat the taka and clean themselves up. Didn't last forever, though, because somebody always turned up with a gun. But they knew. And you watch the animals on farms, and I go around other people's farms, and I see parts of a bank dug out, and I go, see that there? I hadn't noticed that before. And he said, well, look down below that and see where the water's run off and see what's growing there. Wow. And so if you'd observed the animal to where it went to and what it was looking for and where it grazes in the paddock, when you let the animals into that paddock, which I was talking about, they would go and eat the grass first, where the water ran off from where they were grazing in the bank. Then they'd eat the bank, and then they'd finish the rest of the paddock.
Yeah, right.
And we've seen that so many times. Animals go and pick, and you've got to go and find why. I mean, I was at a client's just last week, and he said, and he'd been on the farm for 60 years, so he's had a bit of experience here. And he said, well, I used to let the cows in the paddock here, and they'd all graze this part. Even to the point when it flooded, they'd still go in there and put their head under the water to eat the grass. I'm going, you're kidding me.
Really?
Really. And he says, I got it tested. And I got the other piece tested, and it was so much higher in calcium. So I put some lime on the farm. Now, this was MAF doing the testing at the time. And they said, no, you don't need any lime. But he said his production went up by 20% the first year. And he was critically deficient in calcium. So, he was actually observing. He saw, they did the test. They didn't want to tell him to do this. He saw what was good for it. Bang, did it, solved the problem.
Right. Okay, so let's get back to zinc for a second and that facial eczema. What can you tell me about Gladys Reed?
She was dogged. Unbelievably dogged.
She's a good guy in this story, right?
Yeah, she did a huge amount of research and was trying to tell people, look, we can do this. And I read a lot of her papers, and she'd have a mountain of the stuff and pushing this process. But I was just saying, this is dealing with a symptom, not the cause. I need to find out where this comes from. And then when we found out, look where the lime goes. But it's more than that. And as you go on further and you look at it more and more, the healthier the soil, the biology actually cleans this mess up. These toxic fungal species won't survive when there's healthy fungal species about. So they gobble them up, and then there's not an issue. I mean, I had facial eczema when I first went to Waihi, and I haven't seen it for 25 years.
But it must have been a revelation learning about Lyme affecting that.
Oh, God, was it ever?
Yeah.
I mean, critically, for someone that's facing a massive facial eczema storm in front of them, all I could say is put 300 or 400 kilos of lime per hectare on. It's going to be cheaper than the spray. You're going to fix the soils. You're going to solve a problem to start with before you need to move on to the next stages.
So you're critical of fungicide use, right?
It's a temporary smashing of the good fungi as well as the bad fungi.
Fungi microbiome?
Yeah. Fungicide. Side usually means death. So it's killing them all. It doesn't. So if you're on your way to fixing your soils up or wanting to, that's cool. But these pathogenic fungi, they come back far faster than the good guys.
Right.
Especially when things are in a bad situation.
So what's the danger of Band-Aid solutions then?
It just gets worse.
Yeah. Okay. The Student Science Award. A student later won an award for proving lime's effectiveness against eczema. Did that reinforce your beliefs?
Oh, totally. I went and met up with her and had a good chat about the whole process and that. She was from Katikati, just down the road from us. And, it was the same thing. Her father was the dairy farmer and found that he heard the same thing about lime and they'd put it on, and she just went through a bit of a methodical process for the National Science Fair, and she won the award.
Yeah. Well, that chapter really represents a trial by crisis, right?
It is, absolutely. And what's more frustrating right now is that they're saying that they haven't solved the problem and they need more money to research this facial eczema problem. When I go, it is a part of a much bigger issue, and you guys haven't even scratched the surface. and you just want more money.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was going to ask you what's the most valuable lesson that you learned from that time, but I have a feeling something on the table relates to that as well.
Well, totally. I mean, this is just another. This is, and it's sort of. I hope not to bore people too much about taking advantage of their own abilities and be able to do this. And this is a prime example. Like I've just had a water test off the bottom of the pond, leaving the farm. We have 65 hectares that of water catchment leaves the farm, and like we're in this process where everyone's going, oh, we've got nitrate problems, and there's this, and there's that, and there's all that. Well, it was 4 years ago, I went to the Organic Dairy and Pastoral Group conference in Christchurch at Lincoln University. And there were some really good speakers there about nitrates in the water and colorectal cancer, the effect of, over 2 or 3 parts per million that was starting to affect it. Studies in Europe in regards to that, the effect it had on E. coli in the water and how these sprays had caused these problems. There was another guy talking about, saying, look, we have such a resistance to our antibiotics. It's not safe to get in a lot of the water around Canterbury because the bugs, the E. coli that are with them, they can't treat them. Now, this is caused by our standard farming practices, right? And then, lo and behold, Mike Joy comes on, who was supposedly the world, New Zealand leading water scientist about nitrates in the water. And I totally agreed with him. I mean, there was nitrates at the Lincoln University. It was 5 parts per million in their groundwater right at the university.
Whoa.
And that is in
their own university.
At their own university, yeah. The girl,
a bit embarrassing.
The girl in front of me, she pulled out the paper, and I looked over and go, "Is that true?" Yes.
Yeah.
And she was going, "Oh shit." Then I listened to all this, and it's okay. So the highest at that point in Ashburton was 11 parts per million of nitrate. So I talked to the guy. I went up to afterwards, and I said, look, we've been doing some interesting work and got some interesting results about what's going on about the nitrates dropping in the water. And he goes, oh, yeah, well, you'd have to do this and that. And, a university student would have to do this with the lysimeter and all this sort of shit. And again, oh, yeah, whatever. So I went back home and I did some more testing on the pond leaving the farm. And I actually did some tests on the river as well, coming from the Waihi gold mine, and checked out some of the other things. Just a really interesting process, what's going on. So what came back was that our nitrates were falling rapidly. They'd start, since we'd cricked onto a few things that we had to do, we'd started at 3.4 parts per million of nitrate leaving the farm in the water. Well, this one here now, which I got back just the other day, is 0.039 parts per million.
It's really good.
They don't think it's possible.
Really?
Really. So we're running on a farm. We have 77 hectares of grassland to run on it, and at the present stage we've got about 350 head of cattle on it. So we're not a low-performance farm at all.
Okay.
We're right up there. And so what I did when I started to get these results, at one point one of them came back, it was undetectable. Yeah, I think they've lowered their rates because it was 0.05 or below was undetectable. So they must have upped their ante on their equipment. But we went back to Mike Joy and said to him, look, we're getting these results. Perhaps it'd be a good idea if you come, because if you really want to fix the water, we've got some seriously good solutions here. We're a high performer.
That's these results, right?
These results. Well, this is backed up by year on year of results of exactly the same things coming about.
Can I put this one on screen?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'll take a shot of it and get it on screen. So when people are looking through it on screen, what do you want them to have their attention drawn to?
Well, basically, just look at the nitrate nitrogen. I mean, the figures in Ashburton now came back. They're 22 parts per million in the water, and it's got worse. And I'm going, well, you can solve the problem. You can increase your production. You can actually do this. But he has a massive aversion to farmers. And in the latest farming magazine, he wants to prosecute all the farmers for actually nitrate runoff instead of actually solving the problem.
Right. Okay. Is there some sort of industry there for him to prosecute rather than actually solve the problem that he's going on about?
Yeah, well, they just seem to think that they can bludgeon people into what they want out of the process instead of leading them out of the desert.
Yeah.
And it's really frustrating in that regard, is that, the stuff's been done, the ruic's been done, there's lots of people who've done work, and because of the financial way that research money goes, it's not about solving problems, about who's sponsoring you and what's the outcome they want. So that's the end of it.
Wow. Okay. Let's leave that chapter there. All right. See you on the next one.
Cool as.
Follow along with your own hard copy of the book from efa.nz or listen to the audiobook on Spotify and Audible.